Good morning. It's the Call Flow Radio Show, and you're on the air.
Well, you can be if you give us a call at 434-394-0924. That's the number to call for the Call Flow Radio Show. But we're going to ask you to hold those calls because we have a special guest in the Francis E. Wood studio, but he's no stranger to our microphone. It's Farmville Mayor Brian Vincent. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well.
Loving this weather.
Yeah, it's cooling off a little bit this morning, huh?
Yes. Yeah, I even slept with my window open last night, so that was nice. Anyway, so we're here. You've recently had a meeting.
Yes, ma'am. Last night we had a council meeting. It was a pretty quick, efficient meeting. I think we got out in about an hour, 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. We didn't have any old business. We had a little bit of new business. We got an introduction, 2 new police officers on the Farmville Police Department. So we welcomed them to the team, to what is, I believe, most of us widely consider a really excellent team that we hold a lot of pride in. They do a good job. And then we got an update from Prince Edward County Administrator Doug Stanley. We send the town manager to the Prince Edward Board periodically to give updates, and then the county administrator comes to our meetings to give an update as well. Mm-hmm. So it's just a nice touch point. And then probably the biggest thing, we had some public hearings around 2 ordinances. One was around fencing, which was probably the bulk of folks showed up for. It kind of popped up on the radar because there's an old saying, good fences make good neighbors. And it's not always true. Sometimes fences don't make good neighbors, especially if your fence impedes upon your neighbor. And so somebody had put a giant fence up between their house and their neighbor's house, which impeded their neighbor's ability to see oncoming traffic as they tried to pull out of their driveway. Mm-hmm. And so it created a dangerous situation because there was a bit of a bend in the road there, so it really impeded their ability to see traffic coming towards them. So that brought up, okay, how did this happen? How are they able to do this? Mm-hmm. Well, we don't have a fence ordinance. We have no mechanism by which we can regulate there. And so looking at that, most localities do have a fence ordinance. So we started looking at whether or not we should require a permit. And then there was some discussion of restrictions like on height. And it went through the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission approved to the council to have permit process, but then also be mindful of public safety for pedestrians and vehicles and blockage of line sites. And then there were restrictions for 8 feet on the backyard and side yard and 4 feet for the front yard. Some people felt like that was potentially problematic because and I think part of it is cultural du jour of the day is the idea that, government is overbearing. Mm-hmm. And so you had to work around some of that language. There was, I think, 2 people showed up in opposition to the ordinance. 1 person showed up in favor. So we had 3 people show up. We did have an email that basically said they thought the front yard height restriction was too short for large dogs because large dogs would jump over it. So the council voted to send that ordinance back to the Planning Commission to massage it a little bit more. I will say for folks who are unawares, when these things come up, they generally come up for a reason. Mm-hmm. It did come up for a reason. And then you look around and it's like, I looked at Radford. Radford's got a fence ordinance with height restrictions. Abington has a fence ordinance with height restrictions. I think Lexington has a fence. Most towns have a fence ordinance with some sort of permitting and restrictions. And it's not government overreach so much as trying to treat everyone equally, right? Like if there's just a permit process without any restrictions, then it can potentially get into muddy water where you feel like maybe somebody's being subjectively treated differently, right? Because there's not a parameter. So if they say, yeah, we'll go with that fence, but then you turned out another fence and somebody's like, why? You went with that fence. But if you have measurements, well, then everybody just has to fit the code. Everybody's treated the same. There's no misjudgment of who's being treated fairly and who's not. The other side of it that for me is a public safety side. If you allow people to build front yard fences that are 10 to 12 feet tall, it creates another barrier visibly of potential harm for your first responders who are coming to a house. Because not only do they have the house, but now they have to concern themselves with a large front yard with a barrier over it. The other side of that is the safety aspect. You can impede your neighbor's visibility line of sight for the roads, getting in and out of their driveway safely. But it also creates, like if your neighbors have kids and you have cars coming down your road and you have a 10-foot front yard fence, those cars can't see kids playing in a yard who may run out into the street. So it just creates a little bit of issue there. And then lastly, I think the concern for me personally is like an aesthetic one, which is not something that you can regulate, but aesthetically, if you do tend to get people who start putting up these large fences, then people come here to maybe move here, they would look around and go, what's with this walled city?
Right.
Is this unsafe? Is this not a cool place? You know what I mean? And so aesthetically, it creates an issue, and those issues can affect your neighbor's property value.
I just never thought that it was that big of a deal.
It's not, and it's not. And that was my counterpoint, is that we haven't had a fence ordinance,
right?
And it hasn't been a deal,
right? Big deal, yeah.
But when it gets raised, and you go and look in the books, and you go, okay, we don't have a mechanism by which we can really address this. That's when you start to look at it. But yes, to your point, at this point, it has not been a big deal. So that'll go back to Planning Commission. There were some discussions about like looking at front yard fences that weren't solid, but like wrought iron fences, things like that you would still be able to see through in the front yard.
Right.
And I think there was some concern for folks for backyard fence height who may have pools and they want to like have some privacy, that sort of thing, which is completely understandable. Yeah. So that'll go back to the Planning Commission and get reworked, and we'll see what happens. There'll be more public hearings. People can voice their opinion. Outside of that, we really didn't have much of substance. We had cleaning up some language in our licenses and permits. Some of it was as simple as we used to say treasurer. Now we have to say finance director because we have a finance director, Ms. Julie Moore. There was wastewater plant upgrade proposal, which I think was in the paper. We had a chlorine leak a couple years back, and it spurred the thought of, all right, how do you make this safer, right? And so we looked at converting the wastewater plant from chlorine gas to chlorine liquid because it's a little safer. Well, then when the engineers and folks came to look at the wastewater plant, they're like, most localities are converting to UV light systems that disinfect the water, and it's safer. There's less chemicals. You don't have to spend annually on the chemicals, et cetera. So we debated that in work session last week and looked at, there's lots of complications with it. One, you have all the chemicals of chlorine. Two, you have these sand traps you have to utilize. The sand's only you can only purchase them in like 2 locations in the country. One's in Texas, so it usually costs us like $60,000 a load.
Wow.
Yeah. And then you have to replace these sand traps because they corrode because of some of the chemicals you have to use. And replacing those every 3 years or so is about $400,000. So you start looking at these costs of maintenance and you go, okay, how much is it going to cost us if we convert to UV disinfectant? They're thinking about $2.5 to $3.5 million. We have some ARPA funds that we had originally allocated for other infrastructure projects, but that money has to be committed by the end of this year, which means to say that the government we have to say we are dedicating this money to this exact project that we've already started to contract. We don't have that for some of these other infrastructure projects, but we can do it for this one. So we're going to utilize it. That got voted through last night. We're going to utilize that ARPA money for this project, converting the wastewater plant to this UV disinfectant, and then take any revenue surplus we get from that enterprise fund and start to backfill in the money for getting back to the other infrastructure projects, which are street maintenance, that sort of stuff. And then the last one was the lead pipe survey proposal. I think that was in the paper as well. And that's a federal government DEQ regulation saying local governments need to do a lead pipe survey. There's a certain date, and if you don't get it done by that certain date, they'll start to fine you. They're not going to supply any money to get it done, so we need to do it. Yeah, and you do want to know where your lead pipes are, or if you have any. So we'll start that process, but it was kind of like having yourself held over a barrel. You didn't really have a choice. It was like, it's not really one you can say no to. You just got to get it done. So that went through. And outside of that, as far as motions around town, I know a lot of people are interested. There's a restaurant planned for what used to be Crazy Kenny's Car Coop. Rest in peace, Kent. And that business footprint went up for sale. It has a restaurant coming into it. And the site plan for that restaurant was approved. They haven't officially released what the restaurant is. I believe it to be a fast casual enterprise. And so that's it's always exciting when you got new businesses coming to town.
That's a very valuable spot.
It is,
well,
absolutely. And then that spot holds a lot of sentimentality for a lot of folks.
Yes, I know.
Including myself, and so, it's always always a tough transition in those moments, but that's what's going down there. Outside of that, excitement-wise, I had a couple of meetings this past week. One of which happened 2 days ago. We had the president of the Federal Reserve Bank of Richmond come to Farmville. I know, big time.
Wow. Yeah,
and so he represents. There's 12 federal banks in the U.S. and he represents he's the president of the Federal Reserve Bank of Richmond. So his region is Virginia, North Carolina, Maryland, West Virginia. He's been there since 2018. He is a man of some import. He's a voting member, Federal Reserve, but he's unique amongst Federal Reserve presidents in that I believe he's the only one who actively traverses his region very regularly and gets on the ground and talks to local officials and business leaders and wants to hear what the economy feels like on the ground with people.
Right.
And that includes coming to rural areas like us, which is great because it gives us an audience to tell him what we see on the ground. You see lots of national headlines. You see all the apprehension and the anxiety around what the national scene is telling you is happening, but it's nice on a local level to talk about what we feel is happening, and that he takes all that information straight back to those board meetings amongst all the federal banks. So I was impressed that he does that. I mean,
very much so. At least
he's
grounded.
That's right. Yeah, he's a triple Harvard degree holder with a bachelor, master, and a JD, and it's like, he doesn't have to do that. He doesn't have to put in all that windshield time and come talk to rural localities, but he did, and that was cool. So we had a meeting, local elected officials in the morning, myself, Vice Mayor Reed, County Administrator Doug Stanley, Town Manager Scott Davis, and the board chair of Prince Edward, Miss Patty Cooper-Jones. And he did a Moton Museum tour, and then we sat with him at the Moton and talked about what we saw as local public officials. And then they asked if I would ride around with him around town and tour him around town. So I jumped in the car with him. He had a driver, and pointed out what makes Farmville great and what we're excited about. And then they asked if I would escort him to the business leaders meeting, which I did over at the Woodland. And we sat with some business leaders and talked then. So all in all, a great visit, opportunity for us to tell our story. And we had a good time. Outside of that, I think coming up, there are lots of events coming up in town. You've got Heart of Virginia Festival on the radar.
Yes.
I'm sure you'll have those folks coming in. We've got Rock the Block with Downtown Farmville coming up. So those are fun, exciting events in town. The Splash Pad will close Labor Day weekend.
Yeah, I saw it. It was in use, and with all those little children out there and some adults.
That's right. That's
enjoying it as well.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's been fun. It had a bumpy start, but it's been a real joy since then to drive by and see the kids just having a blast outside. But that'll close down after Labor Day weekend, and then it reopens the following year, Memorial Day weekend. And then what else do we have? I have got a couple of busy fall meetings. We've got the VML, Virginia Municipal League Conference, coming up in October. And then I have the National League of Cities Conference coming up in November. Virginia Municipal League, I serve on the legislative committee, so the committee that designs what we're going to advocate for or against in the General Assembly for legislation that benefits or adversely affects localities like us. So I'll be serving in that capacity. And then on the National League of Cities front, which is the national version of like our state municipal league, I serve on the Small Cities Council and the University Communities Council and do the same there, advocating for federally policies that benefit or adversely affect localities like us. So opportunities there to have our voice in the room where decisions are being made of what we consider important.
And we are welcoming back Longwood University.
Longwood University
Students,
coming back,
faculty,
yeah,
staff.
absolutely. I believe tomorrow, or actually today. Yeah. Oops. Today,
I do it all the time.
I know. It's yeah. Today, I'm going to do a training on being a coach for like their symposium day, where they have like some projects and stuff around undergraduates doing work where they brainstorm citizen leadership sort of projects, and so. I'm going today to get trained up to be a coach so that in September I can help coach some kids through some stuff.
That's good.
So, yeah, it's great to have Longwood getting ready to fire back up. It brings that energy back into town.
Especially when they start arriving.
That's
and
right.
I think town manages the influx fairly well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just,
and it's we talk about that. There's always a push and pull with a big higher education institution like that, and I think we have a good relationship with those folks, and they are important to the town as the town is important to them. It's always nice to have that energy pumping back into the area because
and Hampton, Sydney as well.
Absolutely,
just a few miles down the road.
That's right. They're all getting fired back up. We'll have basketball season back in before we know it. They've got the soccer seasons kicking up. It's a joy to have them coming back into town. That reminds me of a big point of concern for folks lately.
What's that?
Well, it's funny how things work. I think we talked about this before, but VDOT finally put up signs near the High Street Oak Griffin intersection about the project that's going to start there, which is the roundabout.
Oh, the roundabout.
Yeah. And so immediately, of course, like nothing.
The phones light up.
Nothing
right?
throws rural America up in an uproar like a circle. And so we have that project, which it's always interesting the way those things get framed, because that was a project that I think we voted on in 2020.
It's been ongoing.
Yeah, it's been talked about since I went back through the Farmville Herald archives. It's like this has been talked about since 2015, before I was even on council. And so through all those steps all the way to now, and it's finally getting ready to start, and everybody's like, wait, where'd this come from? And it's like, well, man, we've been talking about this for over a decade. But I personally am excited about it. I think it will improve that intersection. There are people who are concerned about the pedestrian traffic. And, I would like people to know that, yes, the pedestrian traffic has been taken into account. VDOT does extensive studies. This has been happening for over a decade. They have a plan for how to direct and move pedestrian traffic in there. And, like I always tell people, there's always a learning curve for any new development. There'll be a slight learning curve here. Luckily, you'll be driving at a very slow speed.
That's right.
Learning.
Yeah. And now, usually when you come to roundabouts, especially when I have to go to Lake Monticello, on Route 15, there are a couple of roundabouts, and they warn you, to slow down because it's coming, and I don't have any problem.
Yeah, once you get used to them and you understand how the traffic flow works and all that stuff, they're actually nice because you don't have to stop and wait, and you can just continue on your way.
But you have to be alert.
You do, yeah. Absolutely. But luckily, traffic's only going in one direction.
That's right.
Or at least it's
right.
supposed to be.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was one of the big pockets of news there, as people seem to clue into that was happening. On other fronts, I recently talked to some business owners, and I think I'm going to finally have like a business round table with some folks, because I've heard of some concerns, and I want to make sure I'm big on just diving right into a fire or a trouble spot if I sense one, and not letting it fester. And so we're going to start that off. I will say, and this is just a quick PSA if I have time.
Of course.
I had a couple of phone calls the other day, and one of the phone calls was somebody kind of aggressively coming in. And I get a load of, and this is not a woe is me. I get a lot of phone calls. I'm the mayor. I serve on statewide boards that have contentious issues. I deal in policy on the state and federal level.
Right.
A lot of people reach out from all these different channels. And this is not a woe is me, because I got into this. I walked into it and said yes and raised my hand and decided to do it. But it is a cautionary about how you talk to people in general as human beings.
Right.
One person of those phone calls was like a 20-minute call where somebody was very aggressively addressing me. And that phone call ended with both of us probably feeling a little uneasy, little hurt, and no solution. Because solutions don't often arise when people are at tension. Another phone call I had that day was about the same length, 20 to 30 minutes, with another person of business import. And we have disagreements, but we talked through them calmly. And we tried to see each other's side, understand each other's side. And in the end, we came with a deliverable and a check back. Part of that is this business roundtable. And I just want to impress upon people, one, it's an election year. It's a national election year. Normally when these things happen, tensions rise.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
But particularly now, because of all the inputs we have, it feels like the animus is up.
Yeah.
And so we're putting everybody on edge.
There's a lot of angst out there.
And we're cranking people up in all their inputs. And that's affecting our daily interactions with each other. And we need to remember to give each other grace.
Absolutely.
In these moments. We are all human beings. We are all in this enterprise together. Whether it's just your constituents, people on the street who you know are coming to you with concerns, remember not to get yourself cranked up, but to have your ears open and your mind open. And for constituents coming to public officials, remember they're also human beings as well. And then just with neighbors, like we are neighbors in this community. And let's remember to extend some grace to each other, and remember that the best solutions come from hearing each other out and understanding each other. And so that's just my quick PSA this election year. It's going to get cranked up a lot in the next few months. And it just seems like we're continually incentivized to other each other and to create these tensions.
Yeah.
And
there's a lot of there are a lot of sources of input that kind of just blow your brains out of whack.
It's designed to keep you in that fight or flight anxiety spot, because that keeps bringing you back, right? It's an addictive mechanism that brings you back to whatever that input is, and you can recognize it as bad for you, but like anything that's addictive, you keep coming back for that fix, that jolt. And we need to get back into recognizing the jolt that comes from understanding people and having solutions, because that can be a jolt as well, and it's often more fruitful.
Well, I might suggest that you have your round table in a grassy spot where you can take your shoes off and walk around in the grass and be grounded
It's not a bad idea at all.
Hear the birds chirping and all of that
right.
stuff. Anyway, well, thank you so much.
Yes, absolutely.
It's always a pleasure to have you here with us, and you're doing a great job.
Well, I appreciate you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Take care and have a great day.
You as well.
All right. We'll talk to you next month, if not before.
Yes, ma'am.
Probably see you at the Heart of Virginia Festival. All right. That was Mayor Brian Vincent. Of course, he's the mayor of Farmville, and he comes to talk to us about what's going on in the town, good and not so good, but it's pretty much the good that it prevails. Anyway, so it's 8:32. We've got some goodies to get into as far as our weather is concerned. Also, the birthdays calendar is coming up. So we'll take a look at our WFLO forecast for Southside and Central Virginia for today. And it's going to be a beautiful day out there in Southside and Central Virginia. And lots of sunshine with a high of 85 degrees. For tonight, mostly clear with a low of 62. On Friday, mostly sunny with a high around 86 degrees. Friday night, we'll see a slight chance of thunderstorms, then a slight chance of showers. It's just at 20% with a low of 69. On Saturday, partly sunny. Then a chance of some thunderstorms coming in for us on Saturday. High of 86 degrees, just a 30% chance of some afternoon rain. On Saturday night, we'll see a 40% chance of some thunderstorms, then a chance of some showers as well. Look for a low of 69. On Sunday, mostly sunny. Then a chance of thunderstorms at 50% for Sunday. Look for a high of 86. And for Sunday night, look for a low of 66 degrees with a chance of thunderstorms and turning partly cloudy. For Monday, we'll see a high of 85 degrees under some sunshine with a 40% chance of thunderstorms. Outside, our humidity is at 96%. Our winds are calm. Barometer steady at 30.13 inches. We do have fair skies outside. It's 66 degrees. What a nice temperature to have. That's your weather forecast. It's now time for our birthday calendar, which is brought to you by Creative Electrical Contractors, located at 1907 East 3rd Street in Farmville.
Creative Electrical Contractors specializes in commercial and industrial projects and offers quality work at competitive prices. CEC is a licensed Class A contractor in Virginia and North Carolina. Creative Electrical Contractors has been in business for 25 years, still committed to the values that were established when the company opened in 1998. Integrity, quality workmanship, and timely delivery. CEC, located at 1907 East 3rd Street, Farmville. You can contact CEC at 434-392-3802 or at creative-electrical.com.
Anyway, that's our birthday music, which is the cue for Noah Massage to let us know who's celebrating today. Noah.
Yes. Hey, Chris. How you doing?
I'm doing good.
Great interview with Brian Vincent.
Oh,
I enjoyed that very much.
Thank you.
So, yes, for today, which is the 15th of August, we have only 3 birthdays, so not a whole lot, but let's get into them right now. We have Tanner Reed starting off, and we also have Sandra Raymond, and last but not least, we have, I don't see a last name, it just says Shira.
Okay.
So, happy birthday, Shira,
All right.
and everybody else.
Yeah.
Hope you guys have a great day.
Sandra Raymond, nice.
Oh, yeah,
nice
yeah.
lady.
Very
Anyways,
nice.
How can they get those names to us?
They can send those names by emailing us at birthdays@wflo.net. Or if you want to call in with a birthday, you can do that too by calling our number, 434-394-0924, with that birthday and, say happy birthday on the air.
Of course.
Absolutely.
All right. The birthday calendar brought to you by Creative Electrical Contractors. If it's not right, they'll make it right. Call 434-392-2802. I believe we have a caller on the air. Let's find out who it is. Good morning. You're on call.
I think it's me, but I'm not sure.
I think it's Henry, too. How are you, Henry?
Yeah, I'm better than nothing. I saw a picture of a young lady in her front porch swing. And, of course, it reminded me of baseball.
It did?
Yeah, a swing and a miss.
Oh, okay. I gotcha.
Okay. Did you read or hear about the 2 television antennas that got married? Yeah, two TV antennas got married.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the ceremony itself was, pretty normal, but the reception was really out of this world.
Okay, I got you.
All right, enough of that. This testimony is one that I have a podcast, I guess you call it, with 8 hours of testimonies. It's 8 one-hour things, which I recorded over a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I did part of this testimony, but I didn't do it all. I started in the middle, so I'd just like to share it with you, if I may. Joyce's nephew, David Wilmoth, was top student at Randolph-Henry, top student at William & Mary, and top student at Harvard. All right, and he and his wife came to Charlotte, where they lived, and they were there for a week during the Christmas. And they announced that they were pregnant. And David told me on the side that, anyway, there was a problem with the unborn child, that he was in upside down. And the doctors were really concerned. So I prayed daily about it. And one day in late March, he had said the baby was due on May 20th. In late March, I suddenly had an urge to call him, not knowing why. When I got home from Flo, I dropped my eyeglasses on the back steps, and the frames went one way and the glass part another way. So I picked them up and laid them on the kitchen table and said, well, after I call David, I'll fix my glasses. So I called David, and when he answered, my voice told him to go home, put his left hand on his wife's tummy, and then look up, close his eyes, raise his right hand, and ask Christ to show his robe. And when you see the robe, reach up and touch it. So I hung up the phone, and I said, now I'll fix my eyeglasses. And I looked around, they were already back together. So I called David and told him what had happened, and he said, now that confirms the message about touching his cloak. So I didn't hear from him for 3 weeks. And then David called and told me what happened. But they had to wait till the next doctor's meeting to know for sure. So he shared that on the day that I'd called, he went home, put his left hand on Joy's tummy, raised his right hand upward, closed his eyes, and asked God to show the cloak of Jesus. And he said suddenly he saw Jesus, and he was wearing a long robe. And standing beside Christ was one of the disciples, and was standing by his side so close that his arm was touching the cloak of Jesus. And David said, suddenly that disciple turned his head, and David said, it was me. It was me, and that cloak was touching the arm of Jesus. And at that instant, the baby jumped under my hand. And when they went back to the doctors 3 weeks later, the baby had turned head over heels and was in perfect position. He'd been expected on May 20th. He was born May 20th. Isn't that amazing?
That is amazing. That is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Henry,
Yeah.
I think that Noah has a question for you.
Oh, yes,
Sure.
Henry, how you doing?
I'm doing fine.
Good. I ran into somebody who I think you used to run around with. His name was Richard Graham. He's like a musician. Do you know him?
What was the last name?
Graham.
Graham.
Richard Graham.
Graham or Graham?
It's Graham.
Graham.
Yeah.
Richard Graham.
Well, anyways, he was telling me you used to host a country show in Crew back in the day. That was like live. Oh, I was just curious. I don't know. I didn't really know that before, but that's just like interesting. So you used to MC it, I guess.
That was I emceed for 53 years.
Wow.
The Virginia Folk Music State Championships. You know, fiddle, banjo, guitar, steel guitar, electric guitar, and all those things. And we held them, the contests at Crew, at the pavilion, the Nottoway County Pavilion, which was owned by the Virginia Electric and Power Company, for their meetings. And we would have these contests every year, and I was the MC. And that name is familiar, but I can't bring his face up right now. I can't exactly remember.
No problem at all. He was telling me they used to do all this strumming with the guitar and just play very intricate songs, like nobody's business. He was telling me. So I don't know, I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, when I was on Hee Haw 3 times. I played the guitar, and Roy Clark played the lead guitar, and I played rhythm guitar. But I haven't fooled with a guitar in 25 years, I don't guess. This happened back in the early 1980s.
Wow. That's cool.
And I plucked a little on the 5-string banjo too. And I have 2 banjos, 2 guitars, a mandolin, but I always loved country music. But I was never that good at it. But what I wanted to do was to play the music that others might be blessed the way it blessed me. And so that's where I got my joy.
Okay. Wow.
All right. Well, thanks for your call, Henry. We appreciate it.
All right. Okay. And y'all have a good day. My number, if anybody wants to call, and I'll be glad to pray with you, talk to you, answer questions, whatever, is 434 area, and the number 414-0096. Okay?
Okay. All right.
All right. Love you all.
Have a great remainder of your week. We love you, too. Take care.
Thank you.
All right.
Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
All right. That was
Henry Folger, the one and only. Yeah.
One and only. Yep. Always has a good story to tell.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, our time is 8:45. Our phone number is 434-394-0924. It's your August the 15th. We're halfway through the month.
Yes, we are. We are indeed. Man, this month has really flown by, unlike the other ones. I mean, this one is really just trucking along, Chris.
I know. All right, we'll take another caller here. Good morning, you're on the Call Flow Show. Oh.
And they just hung up.
Well, maybe they'll call back.
Oh, maybe.
We'll see. Let's take a look at some celebrity birthdays for today.
Sure, yeah.
All right, Deborah Messing. She turns 56 today. And she stepped into the role of Marjorie Hausman in the TV movie adaptation of Dirty Dancing.
Okay.
I did not know that. All right. Actor Anthony Anderson turns 54 today. And let's see a fun fact about him. He appeared as a contestant in multiple episodes of Celebrity Family Feud. And we'll check and see if we have this caller. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. I wanted to ask, did you see the blue moon last night?
I saw the moon, but I didn't see the blue moon. Dang on it.
It was last night because I saw it myself.
Oh, okay. So it came up, but it'll come up again tonight, hopefully.
No, it comes up again on the 19th.
On the 19th, okay.
Yeah, I have a book here, the almanac, that tells me.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And it says the 19th, the 24th, and then we won't come back no more till, I think they got to August 31st. No, that's 23. August, May 20, 27.
27. Okay. Well, I knew there was a super moon or some kind of moon coming up, once in a blue moon. So,
Yeah.
Anyway.
But
well,
it was very pretty, you know.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure it was.
It was kind of, it was different, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Odd shape.
Ooh.
It was, you know, like half and half or something.
Wow.
But, yes, I saw it, but I want to mark on my calendar to look at it the 19th. When is the 19th?
19th is Monday.
Monday, okay. I got it's a little almanac I got, and I saw it, and I thought, I'm going to go, and I called my son in North Carolina, and he went out, he looked at it, and my daughter in Chesapeake, she was looking at it.
Oh, that's great. I'm in the trees, so unless I'm fully aware of it, then I can get out of and see
it was trees all around me, and I had to come in. I went on the front porch and the back porch. I live here on Shepherd's Road, you know, up above the river, Sally Motley.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, I come and looked in my kitchen window, and it was up above between Amos and the Lux Stone.
Okay.
Up in that area.
I gotcha.
And
yeah, I did see that. I was outside talking to the trees, and on my back porch, and I did see the moon there through the trees, but I didn't really think about it.
It was a little awkward shape. I don't know how to put it. Odd shape, you know.
Yeah, maybe it's not quite full.
Half.
Yeah, right. Okay.
All right. I just wondered if you saw it.
All right. Well, Sally, I'll put on my calendar on the 19th. Okay.
All right.
We'll be looking at it together. Okay. Thanks for your call. All right. Take care. Bye-bye. All right. That was Sally Motley talking about the moon that's coming up. Have you ever seen one?
I've seen a blue moon
yeah.
before. I did not. I was looking at the moon last night, and it did look a lot, different. It didn't look quite like blue to me, like not like a blue moon, but it was like looking at it, and I kind of know what he means by the shape being off. I mean, I don't know.
It wasn't full though.
It wasn't full moon, but like it almost looked just like it may have been like clouds in the way, but it was just like I was like looking at it, and I was like, why does the moon look weird tonight? I was like, what are you doing, moon? No.
Yeah,
Anyways.
I wish I had seen. Well, I did see the moon, but I didn't notice the odd shape of it. Good morning, you're on the air.
Good morning, Chris. How you doing this morning?
Oh, good morning, Fred. I'm
Turn
doing
that radio
fine.
down a little bit. I believe I'm picking myself up on the radio.
How you doing?
Doing fine. I've been having a cough for the last couple of weeks. I don't know whether I had a small case of COVID again or what's going on. They said that stuff's spreading again.
Yeah, you got to watch it.
I tell you, it sneaks up on you, look like, don't it?
Yes, it does. Now, you live out in the Rice area. When that tropical storm Debbie came through, how much rain did you get? Do you know?
I didn't get but an inch and 8/10 here.
Oh, okay. All right.
We've been a little bit on the lower end. I think some areas they said back to Brook Neal, somewhere up in there, had 6 inches, I believe.
Yeah. We got a little over 3 inches. And,
yeah. We got a good rain, grass. It got enough making grass grow real good.
Yeah, we had to have ours. My brother-in-law came and cut the grass yesterday, as a matter of fact. Well, actually, he's been working on it all week, basically.
I saw something the other evening. I was weed eating. It was before night. I reckon about 5:30 or something like that. I was weed eating up the road in a little place I had. Grass thing got a little tall. I saw a praying mantis.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't seen one of them in a long time.
You know what else I haven't seen? I haven't seen June bugs, but I have seen June bugs flying around the house, flying, on my deck and around there. I hadn't seen June bugs in a long, long time either. We used to catch them and put a string on their leg and, fly them around like...
You come up in the childhood days like we did. We used to do the same thing.
Yep.
and used to catch a lightning bug and put him in a jar and watch him blink in the jar.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, we used to do that too. But we used to I used to pull their tails off
Oh, man.
and put it on my finger and pretend like it was a diamond.
I hope I didn't injure that for you, man,
God.
because he crawled out the grass where I was weed eating that. But I don't think I hurt him very bad. If I did, I might have bumped him with a string a little bit. But he was still crawling when I last saw him.
Yeah, we've
But I
seen
ain't seen
them.
one in years.
Yep, I know they're very interesting insects.
They are a pretty creature, real pretty.
Yeah, they are. They look like sticks. But I was wondering if there's a difference between a stick bug and a praying mantis. I think there is a difference.
Probably minor, though. I mean, they're,
Well, a
they
stick
look-
bug I think is brown, but a
Okay.
praying mantis is green,
Yeah. Oh, true.
I believe. But they're very interesting.
They really are. I can't. Yeah, y'all was talking about them roundabouts a while ago. I can't get adjusted to them. That one over here at
Kingsville?
yeah.
Uh-huh.
It looked like you're going to go to Ham City to go to Keysville. It's a little confused.
Yeah, but you got to keep going left. You got to circle on left. You got to just follow the signs.
And then you got
Fred.
I think you got a year right-of-way sign, and you would think that'd be the main road, going to Keysville.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe it's a year right-of-way sign in that.
Yeah.
Was that a roundabout they used to have that in the ground circle in Richmond?
Well, yeah, probably. Because you could.
I know they used to have wrecks there now quite often. They said it that way. They done away with that, I think, some years back.
Yeah, well.
But it was a lot of traffic in that. And that was a whole lot of traffic in that at that time when they had that. But I reckon you get used to them. I don't know. It's just a little confusing to me.
Well, you just.
I still don't think you got. I don't think you got 307 up here where it comes into 466 right.
Yeah, that's a little confusing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you take like somebody coming from Farmville, and they're going to go down 307. I've had tractor and troubles, had the whole highway blocked. I run right up almost within about 30 feet of them, and I had to stop.
Yeah.
They'd be coming from Farmville and go down 307.
Yep.
And they had the whole road blocked going across.
Yep.
It's
Well,
a little confusing now to me.
yeah, it's a little confusing there, too.
But I guess we'll adjust. We got to adjust to things. Things are changing and changing.
That's right.
Yep.
Well, the worst thing is when I'm traveling to Charlottesville, and I get on 64, like you're going to Chadwick, and then I get off and get on 250. Well, that intersection right there is they've really switched that up to where you've really got to pay attention to what you're doing, because you've got traffic lights everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere. You've got to pay attention to it. It's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess wherever you go, things are changing.
Yeah.
I seen on the TV the other night that they've got a bunch of electric buses in Lynchburg, school buses now.
Electric buses?
Electric buses. I don't know how many they done got for this year that they was using.
Mm-hmm. Well, okay.
And they said they're going to be a big savings. I don't know what it'd be a big savings, and you had to put them batteries in them things or not. Whew.
You got that
They
right.
ain't no cheap batteries, I don't think.
Heck no, they're not. And I guess they have battery charging stations, but that still takes up electricity. And where do you get your electricity? A lot of
Gotta
people
charge
get
them
it
up right,
from
didn't it?
fossil fuels and stuff. So I don't know.
I
There's
don't
an
know.
argument one way or the other for it.
I
but-
talked to somebody that was a fireman and said if one of them gets on fire, they're hard to put out.
Yeah, you probably have to keep a whole big tub of baking soda in your
We are changing times, go away with.
Absolutely.
I tell you, we are.
I know.
But Chris, nice talking to y'all
Nice
this
talking
morning.
to
Y'all
you,
have a
too.
good one.
All right, give Carol our love, too, all right?
Ain't we having some good sleeping mornings? Wow.
Yep. It's been
I think
fantastic.
TV said we got down to 61 this morning.
Yeah, it felt like it, actually. When I got out of the shower, I had the window up, and in the bathroom, and it was actually kind of chilly.
Ooh, nice.
Well, I felt good. Anyway.
It was. And I think it's going to warm up over the weekend. Then next week we're going to have another couple cool days.
I know.
That sounds good.
All right,
Fall
does.
ain't far from us, is it?
Nope, and I'm looking forward to it.
You'll be baking pies here before you know it.
Absolutely. I haven't made a peach cobbler, though. I'm going to go to the store. I guess I'll have to go to the store. Don't have time to get up the mountains to make a peach cobbler. So that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah. Well, y'all have a nice one.
Thanks, Fred. You too. Take care.
All right. We'll try my best.
All right. Love
bye-bye.
you. Take care. Bye-bye. All right. That was Fred.
Great, yeah.
Yeah, Fred Hines.
Yeah, the one and only.
The one and only.
I
truly
think
is.
Fred should just like take a day and just like kind of go around the roundabout. Just like keep driving in a circle
Until he gets used to
until
it.
you get used to it, and then like turn off and then go back on. you
Yeah,
know?
but then he'd say, I got dizzy and I almost dragged my car.
Maybe you're right, Chris. Maybe you're right.
I don't know.
You know, speaking of it getting cold outside, guess what I saw yesterday?
What you saw?
What I saw, yeah, I saw a woman with a pea coat on, like a wool, like a Navy issued pea coat, like long.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was like at night. It wasn't like during the day, but still, I'm like, I guess it's starting to cool down a little bit, you know.
Well, maybe she has issues. Maybe she stays cold all the time. You know.
Yeah.
Was she a young woman or an older woman?
Kind of like 30, probably. I don't know.
Oh.
I'm
well,
bad at guessing ages.
Who knows?
You know, as somebody who wears long sleeves a lot of the time, I get
you
that.
do. You wear
Yeah,
long
I
sleeves.
like a long sleeve, you know.
Yeah.
I think showing your arms is rude. No, I'm kidding. It's not. No, I'm kidding about that, Chris. But for my arms,
Once you get older,
yeah.
it's not rude. It's scary.
That's funny. That's funny.
Well, it is.
I just like, I don't know. I just like to wear long. I've always done that. Even like when I was a kid, like during the summertime, it would be like almost 100 degrees out. I'd like wear a long sleeve, and I remember my mom would be like, "Well, what are you doing that for?" And I would be like, "Well, I just like it that way. I don't know."
No, it's okay.
Yeah. I think
As long as you're comfortable.
Exactly, and I am.
Okay.
It's nice. It's like it's like a long sleeve. It's nice drinking coffee.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the summertime, I like to drink hot beverages and wear long sleeves. But in the wintertime, I will occasionally wear a t-shirt. I'm totally opposite. I'm like.
Okay, we'll discuss that later.
Okay, Chris.
We got to go now. But
Oh
anyway,
goodness,
that's
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
It's true. It's true. I'm not making that up.
All right. Well,
Okay.
you take care. We've had a good call flow show today, and we hope that we'll have more calls tomorrow. But we do have news coming up right now, along with the weather, then music. So everybody have a great day. Thanks so much for listening, and stay tuned.